Have you ever noticed that sometimes we can spend months looking forward to vacation and then spend the entire vacation thinking about food? I know that probably sounds funny because vacations are supposed to be relaxing, right? They're supposed to be where we finally exhale. We sleep in a little, we explore somewhere new, we laugh a little more, we stay up later than we probably should. We make memories that we'll still be talking about years from now. And yet, so many people vacation with this little quiet voice in the back of their minds. Don't eat too much. You're going to gain weight. You'll have to work this off when you get home. Just enjoy yourself this week and start over on Monday. Can I ask you something? Who decided Monday had so much power? Seriously, how many Mondays have we started over? How many vacations have we spent promising ourselves we'd be good when we got home? Or maybe just the opposite. Maybe vacation becomes permission to throw every healthy habit out the window because, well, I'm on vacation. I think I've lived both of those stories, and if I'm honest, neither one feels very freeing. One was filled with guilt, and the other usually ended in me not feeling good physically at all. Neither one was really the life I wanted.
Scream it out and say you're worth it, though you feel you're not worth it.
Welcome to the Nourish with Regina podcast. If we've never met before, I'm so glad you're here. I'm Regina, a certified nutrition coach, a wife, a mom of 4 amazing adult children, and someone who has spent years learning, not just professionally, but personally, what it really means to nourish our bodies well. Like many of you, my journey has not been a straight line. I've lived, and I still live, with Hashimoto's, fibromyalgia, chronic inflammation, and I've spent years chasing diets, trying to force my body into submission, wondering why healthy living felt so exhausting. Somewhere along the way, God completely changed how I looked at health. Today, I spend my days helping people navigate everything from blood sugar balance and chronic inflammation to weight loss, autoimmune conditions, and sustainable habits that actually fit real life. But if I'm being honest, it's not really what I do. What I really love helping people discover is that healthy living was never meant to make your life smaller. It was meant to help you live it more fully. Around here, we love nutrition science. I'm endlessly fascinated by the way the human body works. I could spend hours talking about the gut microbiome, blood sugar, hormones, inflammation, and all of those incredible ways that our bodies communicate with us every single day. But I also love my faith, because every time science uncovers another beautiful detail about the human body, I don't find myself wondering less about God. I find myself worshiping him more. One of the phrases you'll probably hear me say often is this: science helps us understand the masterpiece. Faith helps us understand the master. For me, those two have never been in competition. They always point to each other. So whether you've been listening since episode 1, or you just stumbled across this podcast because you're getting ready for vacation, I'm really glad you're here. Because today I don't actually want to talk about vacation. Not really. I want to talk about freedom. I want to talk about why so many of us feel like we have to choose between enjoying our lives and taking care of our. Because I don't think that's the choice God intended us to make. And I have a feeling by the time we're done today, you might just pack a little differently for your next vacation. You know, I don't know if I've ever told you about one of my vacations years ago. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if I've told anybody, but because it seems a little embarrassing, just because of the mindset shift that has happened within me. So we planned a family vacation. We had saved up a long time for it. It was great. We were taking all 4 of the kids. But before we even left on the trip, I had decided where we were going to eat and what I was going to order. I had it all planned out. Um, I had researched the menus online and picked it out. You know, I was going to order the salads and skip desserts and don't drink your calories. And if you want to splurge at dinner, you'll have to make it up the next day, kind of thing. I never really wrote those rules down. Nobody handed them to me, but somehow they all felt true, right? Maybe you have rules like that too, or maybe yours sound a little different. Um, sometimes our self talk sounds like, I've already blown it, so I might as well keep eating, or I'll detox when I get home, or vacation calories don't count. Um, isn't it amazing how convincing those thoughts sound? At the time, I genuinely believed that I was taking care of myself. I thought health meant control. The tighter I held on, the more successful I would be. What I didn't realize was that I wasn't actually enjoying the vacation. I was evaluating it. Every meal received, let's say, a grade. Every choice earned a gold star or a little bit of guilt. And isn't that exhausting? When every bite feels like a test, there isn't much room left for joy and enjoyment. What's interesting is that psychologists and nutrition researchers have been studying this for actually decades. One of the consistent findings is that the more rigid our food rules become, the more mental energy food tends to occupy. Researchers often refer to this as dietary restraint, the effort to tightly control eating through strict rules rather than responding to internal cues. So while some structures can certainly be helpful, especially when you're working towards a health goal, very rigid restraint has repeatedly been associated with increased food preoccupation. And for many people, cycles of overeating and periods of restriction. I remember learning that and thinking, well, that explains a lot. It wasn't that I lacked discipline. It's that I was spending so much energy trying to not think about food by pre-planning everything that food had become all I thought about. And have you ever noticed that? It's almost funny. Tell yourself all day long, don't think about chocolate cake. Suddenly your brain becomes a bakery. Our minds don't respond particularly well to constant prohibition. They're drawn towards whatever feels scarce. And I think that's one of the reasons so many diets leave people feeling defeated. Not because they're weak or they lack willpower, but because the human brain wasn't designed to thrive under constant scarcity. I don't believe our bodies were created to live in a constant tug of war with food. They're actually far more intelligent than that, and far more intelligent than we give them credit for. Our bodies know how to communicate with us. They know how to signal hunger. They know how to signal fullness. They know how to adapt to seasons of abundance and seasons of rest. Somewhere along the way, though, many of us stopped listening, or those messages, those signals got confusing. So we became so focused then on external rules that we forgot that there's this incredible wisdom built into the body that God designed. Now, before you misunderstand me, I'm not saying that every craving is a message we should automatically follow. If that were true, I'd probably have cinnamon rolls for breakfast every Saturday. What I'm saying is this: there's a big difference between being controlled by food and being in conversation with your body. One leaves you anxious, and the other leaves you aware. And awareness, that's where stewardship begins. Because stewardship, isn't about winning some kind of battle with your body. It's about learning to care for it with wisdom and curiosity and gratitude. I didn't understand that for a long time. I didn't think of my health as a type of stewardship. And now that I do, it's really been incredibly changing for me. And I hope that you can find that too. So once I started thinking like that, like I said, everything changed for me. And it didn't change overnight. It didn't change perfectly. Not everything just miraculously fell into place. It was a process. But little by little, meals stopped feeling like a math problem. And they started feeling like an opportunity to nourish the body God has entrusted to me. And strangely enough, that freedom didn't make me care less about nutrition. It actually made me care more, not out of fear, but out of appreciation. I think one of the biggest signs that my relationship with food had changed wasn't something that happened in a kitchen. It happened while I was traveling. I absolutely love to travel. I love discovering little coffee shops tucked down side streets. I love farmers markets. I love talking to local people and asking if you could only send me to one restaurant while I'm here, where would that be? And I get some of the best recommendations because every place has a story. And honestly, I believe you can learn a lot about a place by sitting around one of its tables. Whenever I'm in Boston, I order clam chowder every single time. Now, could I make my own clam chowder at home? Of course I could. It wouldn't be near as good, but I'm just saying. Uh, but that's also not really the point. When I'm in Boston, I want to experience Boston. I want to eat fresh seafood and lobster rolls and clam chowder. You know, I want to taste something that has been a part of that city's history for generations. I want to imagine fishermen coming into the harbors hundreds of years ago, families gathering on long days on the water, recipes passed down from generation to generation. It's never just a soup, it's history in a bowl. Food has a way of connecting us to people we'll never meet. And that just kind of gave me goosebumps, actually. Um, so last spring, I had the opportunity to travel to Napa Valley. Now, if you've never been there, it is absolutely beautiful. Rolling vineyards, little winding roads, incredible food, amazing people, wonderful wine. It's a place that almost forces you to slow down. So, one evening, I had met a new friend and invited her to dinner, and we went to this clam bar. And I ordered this beautiful, fresh, gluten-free clam pasta in this incredible white wine sauce. Years ago, I probably would have spent the whole meal negotiating with myself. Should I order this? How many calories do you think are in this? Maybe I'll skip dinner later or tomorrow, or I'll skip breakfast, or I'll exercise even more when I get home. Instead, I ordered it. I enjoyed every single bite of it. And then something happened that had absolutely nothing to do with the food. I ended up sharing a table with someone I had only recently met. We started talking and laughing, sharing stories about our families, our work, our faith, our dreams. And before I knew it, we had been sitting there for hours. And on the flight home, I wasn't thinking about the pasta. I was thinking about the conversation. I was remembering, smiling to myself because one simple thought came to my mind. The meal nourished my body, but the conversation nourished my soul. And I don't think that's an accident. I think God designed us that way. There are so many moments throughout Scripture where something meaningful happens around a table. Just think about that for a moment. Jesus didn't only teach in synagogues. He taught while walking dusty roads. He taught beside lakes. And over again, he taught while sharing meals. Some of his deepest conversations happened while breaking bread. He attended wedding celebrations. He fed thousands of hungry people. He welcomed those who felt forgotten. After his resurrection, one of the first things he did for his disciples was prepare breakfast. I love that detail. Not because breakfast is somehow more spiritual than dinner, but because it reminds me that ordinary moments matter to God. A shared meal can become holy ground when love is present. A few months after that trip, I heard a winemaker say something that has stayed with me, and I just it keeps coming to mind. But he said, "Wine is the anthology of the human condition." And I thought, what a beautiful way to say that. He went on to talk about the weather and the soil and the people who tend the vines and the generations before him. Every bottle carried a story much bigger than itself. And as he spoke, I realized food does the exact same thing. Every culture tells its story through recipes, through ingredients, through celebrations, through the meals grandparents lovingly teach their grandchildren to make. Food isn't simply fuel, it's hospitality, it's tradition, it's celebration, it's remembrance. Food is one of the ways we care for one another, and it should be one of the ways we care for ourselves. And I wonder if somewhere along the way, many of us accidentally reduced food to nothing more than calories and carbohydrates. We forgot that it was also connection and gratitude, community, and joy. Now, before anyone misunderstands me, I am certainly not saying nutrition doesn't matter. You know me well enough, hopefully by now, to know that's not what I believe. What I'm saying is this: when we reduce food to numbers alone, we miss part of the gift. And when we reduce food to pleasure alone, we miss another part of the gift. Real nourishment has always been bigger than what's happening on our plate. It includes our relationships, our stress, our sleep, our movement, our gratitude. Even the pace at which we eat, which, interestingly enough, is exactly where nutrition science has been leading us over the past couple decades. Researchers actually, and I find this fascinating, discovered that health isn't determined by one food or nutrients. It's shaped by our patterns, by rhythms, by the thousands of small decisions that we make consistently over time. That realization completely changed the way I was approaching healthy living. So instead of asking, is this meal perfect? I started asking, does this meal fit into the kind of life I'm trying to build? And believe it or not, those are two very different questions. Because when we can stop chasing perfect meals, we finally have the space to build a healthy life. One of the reasons I never get tired of studying nutrition is because the more I learn about the human body, the more amazed I become. Seriously, every year researchers discover something new. And almost every time my reaction is pretty much the same. I just sit back and I think, wow, God really did think of everything. The human body isn't just a collection of organs. It is this incredibly intelligent, beautifully coordinated system. Nothing works in isolation. Your brain is constantly talking to your gut. Your gut is talking back. Your muscles are communicating with your pancreas. Your liver is storing, releasing, and producing energy exactly when it's needed. Hormones are acting like tiny messengers, delivering instructions from one part of your body to another. Even trillions of bacteria live inside your digestive tract, and they are participating in the conversation. I want you to just think about that for a second. Every time you sit down to eat, your entire body starts communicating. Not arguing, not panicking, communicating. And I think that's one of the biggest mindset shifts we can make. Food isn't just calories. Food is information. Every bite tells your body something. Some food tells your body we're safe, we've been nourished. And some food tells your body energy is coming. Others signal it's time to repair, or it's time to build muscle, or it's time to calm down this inflammation. It's time to support the immune system. It's time to release some hormones. Every meal is a conversation, and your body is always listening. One thing I find really interesting is that nutrition science has shifted dramatically over the last 20 to 30 years. There was a time when so much of the conversation centered entirely on calories, calories in and calories out, as if our bodies were nothing more than some kind of calorie calculator. Now, don't misunderstand me, calories do matter some, and energy balance matters, right? We can't ignore that. But we have learned over the years that some of the things that we thought may have been bad for us aren't so bad, right? Um, Researchers have come to appreciate that what we eat influences us far more than the number of calories we consume. Food affects our hormones, our blood sugar, our hunger, our fullness, our inflammation, our gut microbiome, our energy, even our mood. So, in other words, your body simply isn't asking, how much did you eat? It's asking, what did you bring me so I can do my job well? I love that question because it changes everything. Instead of looking at food through the lens of restriction, I want you to begin looking at it through the lens of nourishment. Not what can't I have, but what does my body need from me today? So sometimes the best examples of these happen when we're on vacation. So let's just imagine you've spent the day walking through the airport. You woke up before sunrise. You didn't sleep very well because if you're like me, you're terrified you're going to miss your flight, um, or you're excited to leave. Maybe you grabbed a coffee and a muffin because that's all you really had time for. You've been sitting on a plane for 3 hours now. You haven't had much water to drink. Your routine is completely different from what it normally is. And by the time you finally arrive at your destination, you don't just feel hungry, you feel like you could eat everything in sight. Now, here's the interesting part. Most people blame their lack of willpower in this scenario. They think, why can't I control myself? But physiology tells a very different story. So your body's been adapting all day. Sleep changes can increase hunger hormones and make high-calorie foods seem more rewarding. Travel itself can be mildly stressful, and your stress response influences appetite and food choices. You're likely dehydrated because you haven't had enough water to drink. Dehydration can sometimes feel surprisingly similar to hunger. You've been inactive for several hours because you've been stuck on a plane. And then suddenly you're walking through a busy airport carrying all your luggage. Your body is simply trying to solve the problem. When you understand that, you can stop seeing yourself as the problem and you start seeing your body as a partner that's doing exactly what it was designed to do. And that is a really freeing discovery in nutrition. Your body isn't working against you. Most of the time, it's working incredibly hard for you. Most of the time, the question isn't, how do I control my body? The better question is, how can I support it? And that's where nutrition can become really exciting because every small choice we make becomes an opportunity to work with our physiology instead of constantly fighting against it. So let's imagine something together. You've spent the afternoon exploring a new city. Maybe you've walked through museums. Maybe you wandered a farmer's market or did some shopping, or maybe you spent the day at the beach with your family and you've laughed and you've made amazing memories and you've probably walked more steps than you have in weeks. And now it's finally time to sit down for dinner. And you sit down. And the waiter brings fresh bread to the table. And the menu is 4 pages long. Everything sounds incredible. And this is where people usually ask me, so Regina, what would you order? They're usually hoping I have some kind of secret nutrition coach formula, like I have a little calculator running in my head. Truthfully, my first question isn't how many calories are in this. My first question is much simpler. How can I best support my body so I can enjoy this evening? Do you hear the difference in that? One question comes from fear, and the other comes from stewardship. One of the first things I usually think about is protein. Now, before anybody rolls their eyes, hang with me, because I promise this isn't about eating grilled chicken at every restaurant, right? It's about understanding something absolutely incredible that your body does. Researchers have shown and known that for years, protein can affect us differently than carbohydrates and fats. Not better, just differently. So when you eat a meal that contains adequate protein, your digestive system begins releasing hormones that travel to your brain and they say, hey, brain, we're being nourished. You can start turning down the hunger signal. So your stomach isn't just digesting food, it's communicating. So hormones like GLP-1 and PPY, which are natural hormones, I'm not talking about the injectable GLP-1s, I'm talking about the one your body actually makes. They are a part of that conversation. They help promote fullness. While protein also slows the rate at which food leaves your stomach, which means energy is released more gradually instead of all at once, which is going to level out that blood glucose level. And I really think that's fascinating because your body isn't trying to trick you. It's trying to help you, right? It's constantly gathering information and responding in ways that we are designed to keep you alive and functioning well. So when I learned that, protein stopped being another nutrition rule, it became an act of cooperation. So I'm simply giving my body the tool it's asking for. And protein comes in more forms than just grilled chicken. So you have so many options to anchor that meal with a healthy protein. Right? So vacation is actually one of the times that I think protein matters even more. Because think about it. Most of us are walking more. We're swimming. We're carrying luggage. We're exploring places we've never been. The days are going on longer. We're asking more of our muscles than we do during the average day at home. Maybe we're doing other activities that we don't normally do, hiking or skiing or whatever, bicycle riding. So muscle is not just important if you're trying to look fit. It's your metabolic engine. And it's where a tremendous amount of the glucose from your bloodstream is used. So it's what helps you climb the stairs to that beautiful overlook, carry your grandchildren through the zoo, spend all day sightseeing without feeling completely exhausted. And as we get older, preserving muscle becomes one of the greatest investments we can make in long-term health. So research consistently shows that maintaining muscle mass supports strength, mobility, metabolic health, and independence as we age. So when I choose salmon or grilled shrimp or a beautiful juicy steak or roasted chicken, I'm honestly not thinking I'm being good. I'm thinking I'm fueling tomorrow's adventure. That feels completely different. Now, does that mean I skip the pasta? Absolutely not. Remember my clam pasta from Napa? I'd order it again tomorrow. But here's something interesting. Instead of seeing the meals as one food, I see it as an opportunity to build a plate that works with my physiology. Maybe the pasta comes with fresh seafood. Maybe there's a salad with olive oil to start. Maybe we share roasted vegetables for the table. Maybe we finish with dessert because we're celebrating something worth celebrating. Notice what just happened? Nothing was forbidden. Nothing had to be earned. Nothing required guilt afterwards. I simply built a meal that gave my body what it needed. And while still fully enjoying where I was and who I was with. And the real beautiful thing is, that's exactly where nutrition research has been moving. Rather than asking, is this food good or bad food, researchers are increasingly studying dietary patterns. So the overall way we eat over months and weeks and years, again and again, we see long-term health is shaped much more by our consistent patterns than by one indulgent meal or one perfectly balanced plate. And I find that, and I hope you do too, find that freeing for you. It kind of goes against the diet culture that we've been ingrained with for years and years and years, right? So it's about the long-term habits and the consistency. That means my health isn't determined by what happens on one Tuesday night in Napa or a Friday night out with friends. I'm not saying go wild, but I'm saying you don't have to do food math in your head the whole time you're out there. It means my health isn't determined in one instant. It is shaped by the hundreds of ordinary meals I eat the rest of the year. And honestly, I think there's a lot of grace in that, right? Because that's how life works. One conversation doesn't build a friendship. One workout doesn't build strength, even though I wish really hard it did. One night of sleep doesn't erase months of exhaustion. And one meal does not define your health. Our bodies respond to patterns, not perfection. And I think that's a reflection of God's design too. He created our bodies remarkably resilient, not fragile, but they beautifully respond to faithful, consistent care over time. And isn't that encouraging? Because it means you don't have to fear one vacation meal or weeks of vacation meals. You don't have to start over Monday. You simply come home and continue caring for the incredible body you've been given. So there's another part of nutrition that absolutely fascinates me. In fact, if you had asked me 10 years ago what I thought the most exciting area of nutrition research, I probably would have said blood sugar. Today, I'm not so sure. I think my answer would be a little different, and I think it's the gut microbiome. I think that would take first place because, well, first of all, before you tune me out, because the word microbiome sounds something from a high school biology class, I want you to stick with me. And this is one of the coolest things I ever learned. Inside your digestive system lives trillions of microorganisms. Not hundreds, not thousands, trillions, which is a lot. And before that thought grosses you out, let me reassure you that most of them aren't there to hurt you. They're good organisms. In fact, they're there to help you. Many researchers now describe the gut microbiome as being so influential that it's almost like having an entire another organ. It's involved in your digestion. It supports your immune system. It produces vitamins. It communicates with your brain. There's the gut-brain barrier system there, which is fascinating. I won't get into all of it now, but it even influences how we process and respond to food. So think about that. God designed your body with an entire ecosystem inside of it. How incredible is that? One of the biggest discoveries of all over the last couple decades is that those tiny organisms aren't passive passengers. They're active participants. They communicate with your immune system. They help strengthen the lining of your intestines. They produce compounds that help regulate inflammation in your body. Some of them even help produce neurotransmitters and other signaling molecules that affect the way your brain functions. So researchers are still uncovering exactly how all of these connections work. But one thing has become very clear, and that is the health of your gut influences far more than your digestion. And here's the part that amazes me. Every time you eat, you're feeding that ecosystem, not just yourself. So, have you ever noticed that gardens flourish when they're given a variety of nutrients? The same thing seems to be true inside of our bodies. One of the consistent themes in microbiome research is that dietary diversity matters. So, in other words, eating a wide variety of plant foods, vegetables, fruits, herbs, beans, nuts, seeds, spices, even whole gluten free grains, if you tolerate them, appear to support a more diverse microbiome. And generally speaking, greater microbial diversity has been associated with better overall health. So that doesn't mean every single meal has to look like a rainbow, even though that would be amazing. Um, but over time, variety matters, right? Which is one of the reasons I love traveling. Because think about it, when you're exploring somewhere new, you're naturally trying different foods. At least I hope you are. Um, Different parts of the world use different herbs or different vegetables or different fruits, different flavors, different preparation styles. So you're exposing your body to beautiful variety that maybe you don't eat every Tuesday at home. And I think that's one of the reasons I love farmers markets so much. They're always inviting me to try something new. Maybe it's heirloom tomatoes one week, purple carrots the next, fresh basil, local peaches, or vegetables maybe I've never even cooked before, but they looked intriguing, you know? And every time I bring something new home, I smile a little because I know I'm nourishing more than just my taste buds. I'm feeding an entire community inside my body. How fun is that? Now, before you hear me saying you need to eat 30 different vegetables every week and keep, a tab open and document everything, I don't want you to do that. That's not the point here. Because if you've listened to me for any amount of time, you know that I don't believe healthy living should feel like another spreadsheet. I think curiosity is far more powerful than pressure. So instead of asking what am I not allowed to eat, I want you to try asking what could I add today? Could I add berries to my breakfast? Could I throw an extra vegetable on my plate at dinner time? Um, could I order the grilled asparagus because it looks amazing? Could I sprinkle some fresh herbs over dinner? Those are really small decisions, but over months and years, those little moments become patterns. And as we've already talked about today, our body responds beautifully to patterns. So, this has also completely changed the way of how I grocery shop. So I don't walk through the produce section looking for the perfect food anymore. I walk through looking for opportunity. What's in season? What's fresh? What looks beautiful? What have I never tried before? Because healthy eating stopped being about checking boxes. It started becoming an adventure. And honestly, I think that's much closer to the way God intended us to experience his creation. He didn't create a world full of beautiful colors and incredible flavors and thousands upon thousands of edible plants and endless variety so we would be afraid of food. He created abundance, creativity, beauty, and he invited us to enjoy it with gratitude and wisdom. I don't know about you, but that perspective makes me want to walk through a farmer's market a little slower. It makes me appreciate the colors, the smells, the people who grew the food, the God who designed every seed to become something nourishing. And suddenly, healthy eating doesn't feel like another task on my to do list. It feels like an invitation. There's something I've noticed over the years, and it's when people come home from vacation and say, I just felt terrible while we were gone. And they almost always blame the food. And certainly, sometimes food plays a role. I mean, I know when I've overindulged or eaten things super processed or, things that may not be so nourishing for me. But sometimes I think food gets blamed for things it doesn't do all by itself. So let me paint you another picture. So you wake up at 4:30 in the morning to catch your flight. You didn't sleep much because you were afraid you'd oversleep. You rush out the door. You grab your coffee. You grab your muffin. And then you start becoming hungry and you eat the little cookie things they give you on the plane. And you don't drink a whole lot on the plane because you don't want to have to get up and go to the bathroom. I can't be the only person like that. You finally land, you carry your luggage. Again, we're walking through the airport. You walk like 10,000 more steps to get to your ride share or whatever, however you're getting to the airport. By the time you arrive, it's 8 or 9 o'clock and you haven't had dinner yet. So maybe you have a glass of wine, you order the dessert, you eat the dinner, and the next morning you wake up thinking, that pasta really didn't agree with me. Maybe. But maybe your body had a lot more going on than one bowl of pasta. When you understand physiology, you begin to realize that your body is responding to the whole experience, right? Not just one plate of food. So think about hydration. Water seems so simple that we almost overlook it. But every single cell in our body depends on it. So your brain depends on it. So do your muscles and your digestion, your circulation, your body's ability to regulate its temperature, even your energy levels. So research has found that even mild dehydration can affect concentration, mood, physical performance, and increasing feelings of fatigue. It can also slow your digestion, contribute to constipation, and sometimes even make us feel more hungry. So no wonder vacation can leave us feeling drained. We're walking more outside. We're somewhere where maybe it's a lot warmer than we're used to, so we're sweating more. Maybe we're enjoying a little wine, and that's okay. Flying in and of itself exposes us to very dry cabin air. Our bodies are simply asking, hey, would you give me a little more water? Not because you've done anything wrong, but because your body is trying to take care of you. The same thing is true with movement. One of my favorite things we've done on vacation is walk. I mean, I love walking and exploring and finding things. And it's not because I'm trying to burn off dinner. Honestly, I can hope we can just retire that phrase forever. I walk because I want to see the city. I want to wander through neighborhoods. I want to stop in little shops. I want to find hidden coffee shops or a cute little wine bar. I want to watch the sunset with my husband. And here's the beautiful part. Research has shown that even a short walk after a meal can improve the way your body handles your blood sugar. As your muscles contract, they naturally use glucose for energy, almost like opening up another pathway for sugar to move from your bloodstream to your cells. Incredible, right? God designed our muscles to do so much more than help us move. So they're actively participating in our metabolic health. So when my husband and I go for a walk along the beach after dinner to see the sunset, my thought isn't I'm earning my dessert. I'm thinking I'm partnering with the body God gave me, and I get to spend this blessing of time and beauty with someone I deeply love. So that tiny shift in perspective changes a lot. Now let's talk about sleep. Oh, sleep. I know a lot of us are chasing sleep, whether we're on vacation or not, but this is something I continue to work on for myself. So I'm right there with you in this, but the science about it is fascinating. Researchers have consistently found that when we don't get enough sleep, our bodies respond in ways that make healthy choices more difficult. Not because we're lazy or lacking discipline, again, but because our biology changes. So hunger signals increase, fullness signals decrease. insulin sensitivity can decline, and we're naturally drawn toward foods that provide quick energy. So your body isn't betraying you, right? It's adapting. It's trying to help you. It's trying to tell you what it needs at that moment. It's trying to solve a perceived problem. So when you learn that and understand that, it helps you be less critical of yourself. So instead, you can start asking things like, how can I help my body today? Or, what is my body asking for? Not how can I control my body, or how can I force you to be awake and be energized, right? How can I support my body? What is my body asking for? And I truly believe that that's what stewardship of our bodies look like. Not striving, not perfection, not fear, partnership. Learning to understand that the incredible body that God has knit together for you, you're one of a kind. You are the only you. He has made this body just for you. And we can respond with gratitude. Because gratitude really does change the way we care for things. When we see our bodies as gifts, we stop punishing them. We can start caring for them. And I think that's one of the most beautiful transformations that can happen on a health journey. We've covered a lot today. We've talked about hormones and the microbiome and vacations and faith and farmers markets. And if you're anything like me, you might be wondering, okay, Regina, what do I actually remember when I leave here today? Like what? Let's condense it down and have something to take with me. So I want to leave you with 5 things that I hope you'll pack for vacation from now on, not in your suitcase, but in your heart. Number 1, I want you to pack curiosity instead of guilt. The next time you sit down at a restaurant, instead of asking, am I allowed to eat this? I want you to ask yourself, how can I best support my body while fully enjoying this experience? Those questions lead to completely different places. One is rooted in fear, the other is rooted in stewardship. I want you to become curious. Curious about how your body feels, curious about what nourishes you, curious about the incredible way that God designed your body to communicate with you. Healthy living begins with paying attention. All right, number 2. Nourish before you indulge. So notice I didn't say instead of indulging, I said before. When you give your body protein, colorful plants, healthy fats, fiber, and enough water, you're building a foundation, right? You're helping stabilize your energy, you're supporting your blood sugar, you're feeding that gut microbiome. You're giving your body the nutrients it needs to thrive and support you. And here's what I found. When my body is well nourished, celebration becomes so much more easier to enjoy. Not because I'm restricting myself, but because I actually feel good. Number 3, I want you to build memories and not perfect meals. Years from now, I promise you, you won't remember how many calories you ate at dinner on vacation. You'll remember who was sitting across the table with you. You'll remember the laughter, the stories, the sunsets, the little cafe you accidentally discovered when you were lost in a new town, the meal your kids are still talking about 5 years later. Food is one of the ways we celebrate life. Let it be that. Build a plate that supports your body. Then stop thinking about the plate and be fully present with the people around it. Because they'll remember your smile, not your macros. Number 4, move because your body was created to move. Walk through those little shops, climb the lighthouse stairs, swim with your kids, dance at the wedding, take the evening stroll after dinner. Not because you have to earn a meal, but because movement is one of God's greatest gifts. It clears the mind, it strengthens the body, it improves health, and sometimes it's where the best conversations happen. Some of my favorite memories haven't happened around a dinner table. They've happened walking beside someone I love. And finally, number 5, don't come home and start over. Just come home. That's it. Drink a glass of water, go to bed a little earlier, make a nourishing breakfast, take a walk, go to the grocery store, and simply continue. Healthy people don't start over. They continue. One vacation doesn't erase months of faithful choices. One meal does not define your health. One dessert does not undo all of your progress. Your body responds to patterns. And one beautiful week away is simply one small part of a much bigger story. So please don't spend the last day of your vacation feeling guilty about the first 6. Enjoy the memories. Be grateful for the experience. Then return to the rhythms that help you feel your best. That's stewardship. And I think it's beautiful. It's beautiful. There's a difference when we learn to steward our bodies, because control is motivated by fear, but stewardship is motivated by gratitude, and gratitude changes everything, really. It's really incredible, because at the end of the day, I don't want to arrive at the end of my life remembering every calorie I counted. I want to remember the conversations, the family dinners, the vacations, the birthdays, farmers markets on Saturday mornings, the meals, shared with strangers who became good friends, sunsets after dinner, the laughter around the table, the answered prayers, the ordinary moments that became holy because of the people I loved were sitting beside me. And I hope when you think back on your own life someday, those are the things that you remember too. Not because food didn't matter, but because food found its proper place. It nourished your body so that you could fully live the beautiful life God has entrusted to you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It truly means so much to me that you chose to spend part of your week here with me. If today's episode encouraged you, I would love for you to share it with friends who's maybe heading out on vacation, or maybe someone who's stuck in that all or nothing cycle and needs a reminder that healthy living can be both joyful and freeing. And if you'd like more recipe inspirations or nutrition resources or information about working with me through one-on-one coaching or one of my group programs, you can find all the information you need there at www.nourishwithregina.com. Next Tuesday, we're going to shift gears just a little bit, but I think it's an episode that couldn't come at a better time. As we move fully into the second half of the year, we're going to talk about something that a lot of us wrestle with, that feeling that maybe somehow we've fallen behind. Maybe January's goals didn't go the way we had hoped. Maybe life got busy or hectic. Maybe summer threw off all of your routines. Or maybe you're just listening today thinking, I'll just start over when school starts. Friend, you are not behind. And next week, we're going to talk about what a true mid-year health reset really looks like. We'll reflect on the progress you've already made, because I know you've made some. We're going to let go of the guilt that's been weighing you down. And we're going to return to the simple habits that matter most. We're going to build consistency from a place of identity and stewardship, not perfection. Because here's the truth, you don't need to start over. You need to just keep going. And I can't wait to spend that time with you next Tuesday. So until then, Keep nourishing your body, one simple choice at a time.
Scream it out and say, you're